26 and 12 for him, and then it's Jalen Brunson. We had a great game at half. 59-59 at halftime. Remember, Boston had been owning the first halves. Instead, this time, they owned the third quarter, and it started with White again.
Oh, they just knocked down threes, but also the level of physicality in the third quarter. Jalen Brown got 5 of his 6 fouls in the third quarter alone.
Yeah, Brunson did. Derek White, 34 points on the night, 7 threes. Meanwhile,
Cornette.
The MVP of the night, UD, is Luke Cornette. What a performance.
Loved it. They started him in the third quarter. I'm an other guy, so I love talking about the other guys. He brought intensity, he brought tenacity, he guarded the rim, and he got a couple buckets down
there.
He
had 5 blocks in the third quarter alone, and then that dunk, and the Celtics have a 15-point lead. And then you mentioned the 5 fouls that Brunson got in the third, and then midway through the fourth, here's number 6.
Also, great job by Jalen Brown actually going into the contact when most players would try to loop around it. He went directly into the lower body of Jalen Brunson.
Brunson's night over there. The Knicks' night, for all intents and purposes.
Look at the pass by Jalen Brown.
And we got a series.
We got a series. 127-102. Here was Jalen Brown after the game.
I know it's easy to kind of write things off. Obviously, unfortunate what happened to JT. But we still got basketball to be played. You know, I believe in this group, so, you know, don't count us out just yet.
Okay, it starts with him. You demanded Jalen Brown give you that kind of performance. What did you see?
Well, Jalen Brown's performance wasn't him stepping up. It was him stepping into a role that demands recognition as one of the 2 cornerstones of this franchise. And it's the way he did it, Greeny. Okay, number one, first off, he took on the challenge of guarding Jalen Brunson. Right, held him to 7 of 17 field goals, but also 9 of his 22 points came from the free throw line. Also offensively, he was a game manager. He didn't allow his team to settle for threes. He kept attacking the rim and kept attacking physicality. And then also, guys, he had 12 assists, a career high in playoff assists for Jalen Brown, just orchestrating getting Derek White. Derek White going, getting Drew Holiday going.
Caution to call him a role player, had 34. Holiday 14, Pritchard 17, and Uncle Luke. And we ain't talking about the one from Miami. Luke Cornette was the game changer. 6 blocks in the total, 7 blocks total, 6 of those coming in the third quarter. But just his tenacity, his intensity, and he's a guy you didn't game plan for to do what he did. So when you have guys like that, you don't have to run a play, and they impact the game the way he did. That's a win-win situation.
This goes back, like, think about Celtics history. Darren Day was like a guy who came out of nowhere, had huge playoff games back in the day in the Bird era. Leon Poe, remember how he would come into games and made a difference. This is along that in the Celtics lore for Luke Cornette. And by the way, his agent right now is the happiest man in the world because he is a free agent this offseason. And when you are a big man that don't really ever, the only time they've ever acquired, that's what they are. They struggle with prosperity. This is nothing new to them. In fact, over the last 3 years, when they are in a situation where they can close out a series, their record is 3-5. So they don't really ever, the only time they've ever closed out immediately was 2 years ago in Cleveland, Game 5. They put that series to rest. After that, they've always lost one, then they'll win one. Against Indiana last year, they lost the last 2 games of that series. Against Detroit, same situation. They went on the road, they went home, they lost, they had to go on the road to get a win. This now flips the script. Now they come home.
favored to win the series. The Game 6 is tomorrow night at MSG, 8 Eastern. It'll be on ESPN.
Greeny, we had blood in this game.
Yes.
We had hitting below the belt multiple times in this game. We had scratching. We had clawing. It's the most physical I've seen a team in the playoffs be with Jalen Brunson throughout the course of this one game. I know Detroit was.
Detroit was very physical with
this. This was the most physical I've seen the Celtics be with Jalen Brunson in a game like this. And they made it physical. It took his legs from him late.
Back against the wall, desperate sense of urgency. I love it. We talked about this yesterday. Multiple efforts. This is something that we have not seen from the Celtics. They brought it last night.
Yeah, and so the game did not go at all the way I expected it to. I thought the Celtics would start like a house on fire, like hit them with a barrage, get the crowd into it early with their season on the line, and then might wear out. The Knicks actually had a lead in the second quarter.
Lead, and the building was quiet.
Very quiet. In fact, it sounded, and I mentioned this on Twitter, it sounded through the screen like there were a lot of Knicks fans there.
Yeah, there were.
There was a lot of cheering when the Knicks would make their shots and when Mitchell Robinson would make his free throws and all that kind of stuff. And then in that third quarter, the Celtics showed you the heart of a champion. So they go back to the Garden tomorrow night, and quickly, and we'll have more time to talk about it, what do you expect tomorrow night?
I expect Boston to be Boston. I expect them to come in with a desperate sense of urgency. I feel like they really found their why in the unfortunate injury to take.
Time to talk about it. What do you expect tomorrow night?
I expect Boston to be Boston. I expect them to come in with a desperate sense of urgency. I feel like they really found their why in the unfortunate injury to Tatum, and I feel like these guys are banding together. I feel like right now, when you win a championship, you kind of let off the gas a little bit. You don't know it, but you do a little bit. I feel like they found their why right now, and the love for their brother is going to push them through to get this game to
don't let that game be tight, and don't let Boston come out with a win and that series
Wait
go
a
back
minute.
to
Don't
Boston.
let the game be tight. That's exactly what the Knicks want.
That's exactly what
the Knicks want. What you don't want is to have that game be a 20-point blowout again, because that's what the games the Knicks lose. But when it's close, they're very comfortable. They're very comfortable in those situations.
I was talking more about the scenario about them losing at home and then it going back to Boston for Game 7.
Yeah, but a tight game is exactly what they would want.
But I tell you one thing about this game. Boston found something, because they literally attacked Brunson every single opportunity they got. And it wasn't just Jaylen Brown. It was Derek White. Whoever had the opportunity to attack Brunson and put him in the spin cycle and get downhill on him, they put him in the spin cycle. And I said this yesterday. You cannot continue to let Jaylen Brunson off the hook defensively, and you cannot continue to let Cat off the hook defensively. Those are the two guys you have to attack if you're Boston.
Agreed, but the Knicks' transition defense was just really bad.
Yeah.
They got to tighten that up.
Well,
Derek White got open look after open
Their
look.
pick and roll defense, which was excellent in Game 4, was horrific in this game, especially in that third quarter. They've got to figure that out. But it's also the Derek White factor. He's shooting 43% from three in this series.
Man.
And with Tatum now out of the equation, doesn't he move up? Like, UD, if you are game planning for the Celtics, you know Jaylen Brown got to worry about him. But if Derek White is not your second priority, what are we doing? Like, you have to pick him up 94 feet and just stay on him. I'm not helping because this guy can make shots. He starts off games 4 for 4, and he walks into threes because people forget about him. You can't forget about him. They are going to take a ton of threes, and he's going to take most of them.
If I had told you yesterday the Celtics were going to get as little from Kristaps Porzingis as they did, I think everyone here would have said that is a great recipe for the Knicks. Instead, the Knicks had a couple of guys that just did not show up yesterday. Karl Anthony Towns, don't get me started on all of that. It sets up a fascinating Game 6 tomorrow night. We will have much more on all the basketball as we go. But NFL schedule yesterday, fascinating as we are 112 days away from kickoff. I've got a great football squad ready to roll today, and we're looking at the most interesting matchups that were announced yesterday in the release. Dan Graziano, which one do you have your eye on?
Always gravitate toward Chiefs-Bills. Always a fun game. Bills always win it in the regular season. Chiefs always win it in the postseason. This one's in Week 9. Bills could be 7-0 by then if you look at their schedule. Bills-Chiefs, can the Bills do anything that gives them enough confidence to win if they have the rematch next January?
The Bills only leave the Eastern time zone one time during the entire season. They got a very good day yesterday. RC, what game do you have your eye on?
I'm looking forward to Lions-Ravens in Week 3. We know Lamar Jackson dominates the NFC during the regular season because, well, he's never made it to a Super Bowl to play an NFC team in the Super Bowl. It's a big game. But I look for the Detroit Lions, who I think will have a tougher road in the NFC North this year. That's a Monday night football game, so we'll be in attendance. I want to see if the Baltimore Ravens continue their dominance over the big-time NFC teams.
The Lions, I believe, have 7 outdoor games this year. Remember, they had almost almost none last year. And then D Wood, what game do you have your eye on?